Hello, thank you very much, and you're welcome to join me in the understanding of the solar system. Now, when we talk about the solar system, we need to understand that we are not narrowing ourselves to talk about the Earth, but we are understanding the whole universe. The study of the solar system will deal with the study of the whole universe. But for now, in particular, what I'm going to talk about is narrowed into the Ugandan curriculum of the Senior 3 topic that is called the solar system. So let me take you through understanding the solar system. But before we go into details of the solar system, we need to understand that we first need to know what kind of explanations that come with the formation of the solar system, with the formation of the universe. How have the universe been formed over billion years of time ago? So there are some theories, but though other theories are still questionable that we cannot even explain further and into details. But let us look at some three theories that explain the formation of the universe. The first theory is the biblical theory. The biblical theory, it states that the universe was created absolutely from the word of God. So it was created by a divine command by God, by just His words. Let there be, and there were in existence of all these things that has been created in the universe. So this theory is not scientifically proven, but it is just a belief that all the believers believe that this biblical theory, it has been in existence for long. So this is the theory, this is the concept on how the universe has been created. Another theory that we have is the Big Bang theory. The Big Bang theory also, it has some limitations. For it says that the universe was created like 13.8 billion years ago. So that this started as a hot, dense state that keeps on expanding over time. And still up to now, as we talk, we believe that the universe is still expanding according to the Big Bang theory. Then another theory that we may talk about is the steady state theory. The steady state theory just tell us that the universe has got no end and the beginning. So it is just we cannot explain that it starts from here and it ends from here. So the solid state theory states that the universe has got no beginning and has got no end, but also it keeps on expanding. Okay, it keeps on expanding and it does not change in density because other matters keep on developing as it goes on. So those are some of the three theories that we may base on to try to understand how the universe was created. The whole solar system of the universe has been created. But let us look at the solar system. Here we shall maybe focus more importantly on things like the sun, the moon, and the earth. But before we focus on the sun, the moon, and the earth, let us look at the components of the solar system. So the solar system is composed of the galaxy. The galaxy is just a massive collection of dust, okay, gas, okay, collection, a massive collection of gas, dust, stars, okay, and white nerve and all the dark matter. So that is what we call the galaxy. But then within the galaxy, in the galaxy, we have got planets. We have got several planets within the galaxy, and these planets. First of all, what are planets? If we are to define planets, planets are just celestial bodies that orbit the sun. You see, most of this matter and the planets and the rest of the things within the universe uh, are revolving around the sun. So the planets are defined as the celestial body that orbit the planet or that orbit the sun. So we have several planets that we have. Uh, the first planet. This I'm going to give it in the arrangement according to its nearest to the sun, because they are in that position to the sun. So the first planet which is near the sun is the Mercury. Okay, there's the Mercury, followed by Venus, then follows by the Earth, then we have the Mars. Then we come to Jupiter, Saturn. We also have Uranus. Then we have Neptune. Okay, there are though other planets, but there are other smaller planets that may not be considered in this topic of the solar system. So within the Mars and the Jupiter, there's a belt called the asteroid belt. Between the Mars and the Jupiter, there is asteroid belt. By the way, these planets are separated into inner planets and outer planets. The inner planets are the planets that are closer to the sun. That, if I can name them, they are the Mercury, uh, the Venus, the Earth, and the Mars. These are the inner planets. And these inner planets are characterized by some characteristics like they are warmer, they are closer to the sun, they have a thin atmosphere, and the planets are also denser. They are denser. And maybe another characteristic that you may add there is that these new planets have fewer moons. So the new planets have got fewer moons. That is the inner planets. We also have the outer planets. The outer planets consist of the Jupiter, the Saturn, the Uranus, then the Neptune. It is characterized by it is colder, less dense, it has thicker atmosphere, so it has more moons. So those can be the characteristics of the outer planets. So as I said, in between Mars and the Jupiter, that means that space separating the inner planets and the outer planets, we have got the asteroid belt. Okay, the asteroid belt is hairless remnant and is rocky. So it has got rocky substance and is hairless remnant, basically from the leftover of the earlier formation of the universe, or that solar system. So those are the components of the universe as we have them like that. So let us study about the sun, the moon, and the earth. So there are certain things that we need to know about the sun, the moon, and the earth. First of all, in size, the sun is the biggest. Okay, of even all the other planets, the sun is the biggest, followed by the earth here, and also the moon is the smallest. That's when we are talking about the sun, the moon, and the earth. The sun is the biggest, followed by the earth, and then the moon. So in their location in the universe is that there's a sun that is the center where all the planets revolve around in an orbit. We of course we have Mercury coming first nearer to the sun, then Venus, then we have got the earth. And outside the earth, the moon, there's a moon that rotates around the earth. The moon rotates around the earth, but the Earth itself also rotates on its own axis. The Earth also rotates on its axis. But now then, both the Moon and the Earth revolve around the Sun. Now, because of this system of rotation and revolving around the Sun in an orbit, we have got some things that can help us explain certain occurrences that happen. The occurrence like uh, the time frame, the change in the time frame, or we can talk about the change in day and night. Why do we experience the day and night? We actually experience day and night because of the rotation of the Earth on its axis. So as the Earth rotates on its own axis, uh, some phases of the Earth moves away from the Sun. You know, Earth is a sphere. It is spherical, and it rotates on its axis. So, if for instance it is Africa, the continent Africa, the one facing the Sun, therefore there's going to be daytime on that part of the earth that is facing the sun. For this case, it is Africa. So when the earth rotates on its axis and it is changes position by its rotation, then the other part that is away from the sun, the other part that is not facing the sun, becomes dark and therefore night time. So we experience changes in time frame, or we have day and night because the earth is spherical, the earth is a sphere, and it rotates on its own axis. Therefore, the face of the earth that is facing the sun experience daytime, and the other face that is facing away from the sun experience darkness, therefore night time. Now, because of that rotation, we can explain a scenario of day and night happening. Now, there are also situations where we have changes in seasons. Uh, Here in Africa, or in Uganda in particular, we talk about only two seasons that we have: the wet season and the dry season. Okay, the season where we receive enough rain, and the season where we actually receive rain. So it's wet and dry season. But in Europe and other parts of the earth, they have like four different seasons. There's winter, there is spring, there is autumn, and there is summer. So they have these four different seasons. Okay, summer, winter, autumn, spring. So we can explain these changes that happened in the earth, the changes of the season, by the rotation. Okay, or I can say revolving of the earth around the sun. I've said that the earth moves in an orbit around the sun. So you see, let me first go back a bit with rotation of the earth on its axis. The earth rotates on its axis, and it takes the earth 24 hours to make a complete rotation on its axis. That's where we get that change in time frame, day and night. But in revolution of the earth around the sun, in its orbit, it takes the earth the whole 365 days to make a complete revolution around the sun. So because of these days, that's when the earth can experience different seasons. Because as the earth revolves in its orbit around the sun, uh, there's also the tilting of the hemisphere, the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere. So, the sun brings about these changes in temperature and therefore changes in season also come in. We have the season which are warmer, like the summer season, and the season that are too cold in the other continents. So it's because of this revolution of the Earth and the tilting of the Earth's atmospheres, it creates changes in seasons. Now, if you look at, have you ever viewed the moon? You see, the moon itself, the way we look at the moon when we are on the earth, we see different faces of the moon from different locations that where we are on the earth. So there are different faces of the moon that we can observe as on earth. So what are these faces of the moon that we can be able to observe while we are on earth? You see, I've already said that the moon also rotates around the earth. So as it rotates around the earth, we know that both this earth and all the planets, they are getting the source of light from the sun. So since they are getting the source of light from the sun, sometimes when the moon rotates, it blocks up the sun, okay? And therefore, while we are on earth, we may not see clearly the moon. And therefore, we are able to have different phases of the moon as the moon rotates around the earth. I can demonstrate that with a simple drawing. If you are to take a look at this drawing, I don't think you can have it clear. If you can take a look at this drawing, we have various phases of the moon clearly shown there. If we have the sun here, and here is the earth, and here we have the earth, therefore we have got to see. So the first one here, we have got the new moon. In the new moon, uh, the moon blocks the sunlight. Therefore, when you're on the earth, you not see the bright moon. So that is called the new moon. And if you see the shading where it is shaded red, it is showing that the bright part of the moon that we are able to observe when we are on earth. So here the moon will not look bright, and this is the new moon. And as the moon rotates, the rotation of the moon, we get different phases of the moon. So we have the phases of the moon. We have the waning crescent. We have the first quarter. We have the waning gibbous. We have the full moon. We have the last quarter. We have the waxing gibbous. Then we have also the waxing crescent. Then we have this one, of course, it is the full moon. Okay, is when we are able to observe all the phases of the moon. So there are all these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 8 different phases of the moon. So this depends on how the moon is rotating around the sun, and we are able to observe that. So the 8 phases of the moon, if you can name them, we have the new moon, then we have the waning crescent, we have the first quarter, then we have the waning gibbous, we also have the full moon, we have also got the waxing gibbous, then we have got the last quarter, then there's also the waxing crescent. So different phases, 8 different phases of the moon as we observe from the earth. So this one gives us the overview of different phases of the moon that we can see when we are on the earth. So this is understanding the solar system. Okay. Now there are things that happened also on Earth that can be explained in the solar system. That is, we have got ocean tides. There's what we call ocean tides. So the ocean tides is the rise and fall in the level of water of the ocean or the sea, the big water bodies like the ocean and the sea. That rise and fall in the level of water, it is caused by the gravitational pull of the moon on the waters. So the moon also has got its gravity. So the gravitational pull of the moon causes that rise in the ocean waters. But on the other side, on the earth also, you need to explain that there's also centrifugal force that brings about the rise of the level of the ocean waters. So there are two basic things that happen that create the rise in the water level, most especially the big water bodies like the ocean and the seas. The gravitational pull of the moon and then the centrifugal force on the other side of the earth that cause the ocean tide. So the ocean tides comes with its impacts. Of course, it aids navigation in water. Navigation is water is that transport in water. It helps. It also causes destruction of property. It can also lead to loss of life. It also helps in fishing because as the water level rise up, the water creatures like the fish will come up upper on like on top of the water surface. So people who are fishing find it easy to catch up the fish when the gravitational pull happens. That creates the rise in the level of water. Another thing that we need to understand also in the solar system is the question why is it that life is only possible on Earth? So we have learned about these very many planets, but it is known that it is only Earth where life is possible. It's only on the planet Earth where people live. Why is it possible only on Earth? Yeah, because the Earth has favorable conditions. And what are these conditions? First of all, the location of the Earth. Okay, it is strategically located in a way that it cannot receive too much sunshine and also very little sunshine. So the location, it is favorable for human to live in and all other living things to survive on. Other thing is the organic components of the earth makes inhabitants of the earth to survive. Another point there is that it is only the planet earth that has got water, the natural water that people use. We say water is life, so the earth has got water, and therefore it helps living things to survive on earth. Also, the component of the air on earth, okay, we have oxygen, okay, nitrogen. So that component of air provides life. So oxygen is needed for life on Earth, and the component is there on Earth. Other planets, we may not find that component of oxygen on such planets, so it is not favorable for life. There also temperature range. I've already talked about its location that receives the sunshine. So the temperature range on Earth, it is favorable for life. Okay. The Earth is also protected by magnetic field. that protects people living on Earth from dangerous radiant rays from the sunshine. So these all contribute for the reasons why Earth is the only planet where life is possible. What 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 else can we look at why the Earth is a very possible place? Why it is only the Earth where life is present? So there can be various reasons, but basically those are the most important reasons why life is possible only on the planet Earth. So if you understand the concept that I've talked here, then you'll understand very well the solar system. Maybe another thing that we need to understand in the solar system is about the eclipses. We have two types of eclipse. We have the solar eclipse and the lunar eclipse. Okay. The solar eclipse is when the moon comes in between the sun and the earth. And therefore, the moon will be able to cast its shadow on the earth, so making the earth to becomes dark. That part that is darkened, that is called the umbra in the solar eclipse. Okay, talking about the solar eclipse. The solar eclipse where the moon comes in between the sun and the earth, making the moon to cast its shadow on the earth, making it dark. So if you can check this demonstration also as well, this is the solar eclipse, and this is the sun, this is the moon, and this is the earth. So when the moon comes in between the earth, when the moon comes in between the earth and the sun, it will obstruct. So the dark part is casted on the earth. That is called the umbra, and this other part is called the penumbra. So this is the solar eclipse, and we also have the lunar eclipse. Here the earth is between the moon and the what? And the sun. Therefore, the moon will also, the earth will also cover the moon with its dark part, so making the moon not to lighten the earth. So this is the lunar eclipse, this is the solar eclipse. So that is basically the understanding of the solar system that you need to understand in the curriculum of Uganda. Thank you.